Ladies and gentlemen, how's everybody doing? My name is Drifty Dread. This is a very special video. I am with a very special person. You can find him on TikTok at Narcolepsyboy. He has over 620,000 followers. He is on the road to 1 million, which is a crazy number. Malik, welcome. Welcome to the channel. How are you?
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me, brother.
Listen, man, I want to get into a lot of things. I want to talk about a lot. You're pretty busy. You're a pretty busy guy. I mean, you make a lot of video. You have a massive following. I want to just talk to you and kind of know basically about wrestling and how you kind of got into it. But before that, I do want to say I wish JD McDonough a very speedy recovery. I mean, that was awful.
Yeah, that was pretty sick, man. It's a crazy bump. Crazy bump.
He takes a lot of crazy bumps.
That one was pretty wild. They said he had a
Yeah.
punctured lung or something like that. I was like, oh my God, that's crazy, man.
Broken ribs and a punctured lung.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's pretty gnarly, man.
that's crazy. The Rumble's this weekend.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be there.
You'll be there.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Wow. I see. I was thinking about going, but I'm getting married, so I
More important, yeah.
gotta cut down on the finances. I hope you have a great time. Who's your pick?
For the men's, my pick has been Roman Reigns for a while before he even declared. So,
Okay.
Roman Reigns for the men. For the women's is a little bit of a hot take, but I'm picking Jordan Grace for the women's. That's
Wow.
that's, that's my pick for the women's.
Speaking of Jordan Grace, did you just see she signed?
Yeah. That's another reason that I'm kind of picking her. Like I was kind of already leaning towards her before then, but now that it's confirmed that she's there, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna lock that in. So
So my predictions are kind of, I would probably say among the majority. For the
okay,
men's, I'm definitely picking CM Punk. Um,
okay,
I understand why everybody says Roman Reigns. I get it. He's now the cover athlete, but which speaking of covers, they look pretty sick.
yeah, they definitely look pretty sick. Man, I usually get the games every year anyway, so
Yeah.
but
What
I do like the covers.
what's your favorite game? Doesn't have to be in the 2K, just all time, really.
Oh, definitely Last of Us for sure.
Okay, Last of Us. Okay. What's your
Either
favorite
part one or two doesn't matter.
one or two? Okay. Have you seen the show?
Of course, yeah, of course. Show's really good too.
I have also seen the show. I really do like it. What out of WWE, what is your favorite game?
WWE game, definitely probably OG SmackDown versus Raw 2007. Spent a lot of time on that game.
Wow. Okay. So mine's kind of in the ballpark. If I had to choose, like, in terms of a game that has a lot to offer, I think my favorite hands down is SVR 2011.
That's a great one. That's a great one.
But in terms of a game where I stick to one mode, I'm a GMO guy. I love general manager mode.
So do I.
And 2008, I could get lost in playing for hours.
Yeah, yeah. That was pretty addicting. GMO is pretty good. You know they got GMO coming online now finally for the new
I
game.
I have been begging for that. Like I hope it kind of works. What I'm hoping is like I can invite a friend and we can play. That's what I'm kind of hoping. Um,
Yeah, I think now you only have to invite anybody over. You can just play online now. So as
I
long as the
I think
servers stay up.
I think it's uh I think it's about time, to be honest with you. I think it's about time.
Oh yeah. It's, now that social media is so advanced and everything. I mean, playing GM mode online, it's just gonna be so play.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I definitely get that. All right, man. I'm gonna ask you because I've asked kind of this question in my last interview, and I feel like it's really important for people to understand who you're interviewing. So I gotta ask, when did you get into wrestling? Like, what time did you start? Did somebody like show you? Did you find it yourself?
My uncle got me into wrestling when I was a kid. I started watching in probably about '04. So, um, yeah, my uncle was the one who got me into it, and I've been hooked ever since, man. So, just never detach myself from it. I could never do it, man. The older I
Yeah.
got, the more I just gravitated towards it. So I'm stuck with it.
Do you have do you have a wrestling hot take that every time like you say it, people are like, you're insane?
Yeah, everybody has their own hot take. What's yours? Give me something you got.
Okay. So I should probably start by saying that I got into wrestling about I wouldn't say 2009, but I didn't start levitating towards it until NXT was a game show, where it was you had your mentors and then it was a game
Yeah,
show.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So I started really watching like when Miz cashed in on Randy to become the WWE champion. So my hot take, and I said, especially because of like how influential you are in the Wrestle Talk world. My favorite hot take is WrestleMania 27 because of the in like when I started wrestling is probably in my top five favorite WrestleManias. Now, I don't think the matches are good. Let me just like put this out there. But like when I started watching wrestling, I was a Miz fan. So like knowing that he went to WrestleMania and beat John Cena, I was happy because I was a kid, right? So like that's all I was happy about.
Okay.
However, I see the way you're looking at me. However, I have rewatched it and I don't think it's good, but it holds that place in my heart because it's like the first WrestleMania I've ever watched.
Nostalgia, yeah, 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 nostalgia. Okay, okay, okay. That's definitely something for sure. WrestleMania 27 was, whew, yeah, that was a time, man. That was a time. I definitely remember that.
Look, man, I
Uh,
get it.
no, yeah, I mean that's definitely a hot one. I got a few hot takes. Everybody has some hot takes. One of my hot takes is I don't like Shawn Michaels' theme song. Never was a fan of
Wow.
it. Never was a fan of it. I just don't like it. I know a lot of people like it. It's iconic for sure. It's definitely one of the
Yeah.
most iconic themes. But just never liked the theme, man. I don't know what it is, bro. I've never been a fan of that theme song.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay. Do you think John Cena is the GOAT?
WWE wise, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
The only other person, and I'm just talking strictly WWE. If we're talking all of wrestling, the conversation is different. It's probably going to be Ric Flair if we're talking all of wrestling. But just strictly in WWE, I think Cena's had the best WWE career. Yes, you look at the longevity, the
Yeah.
matches, the moments, the star power, the promos. I mean, everything you could think of. And he's one of the very few people too, where even though he was very loved and hated at the same time during his peak, once he became the guy, he never had to change anything about himself to stay relevant. And
Yeah.
it's just very hard to do. Once he got to the pinnacle, to the higher echelon, to the top of the food chain, he never changed anything about himself and he never had to, but always managed to be the most important superstar, the biggest superstar, and the most talked about and relevant superstar in the company. No matter who was coming up or who became more popular than him at certain times, John Cena was still the guy, the face. We all knew that through times. And I think legitimately from about 2005 as well, from like 2017, even though John Cena always got the, he can't wrestle, the 5 moves of doom attached to his name. Legitimately, if you really look at it from about '05, I would say to 2017, you could say that he may have had a match of the year candidate from
Yeah.
like just in WWE, maybe even match of the year in wrestling, depending on, the certain year. So I think WWE wise, I would say yes. The only other person to me that I would put in that same catalog would be The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Undertaker would be the only other guy that I would say I would put there. Stone Cold would be in that conversation if he had a longer peak, but due to injuries and stuff, obviously his peak was cut short. The Rock, same way as well. If his peak was longer, I definitely would put him in that conversation. Hulk Hogan, even though people don't like Hulk Hogan nowadays, I mean, he was very impactful for WWE as well. So that he's definitely up there. I will say though, Roman Reigns, man, he's creeping up that ladder. I'm sorry, somebody got to say it. This guy, I don't care if the tribal chief run has been short term. What he's done the last almost 5.5 years eclipses anything bad about the big dog era. If you ask me, the moments, the stories, everything that he's provided, the character work, the people that he's helped uplift, within the story along the way, Roman Reigns is checking off all boxes. It's crazy. And I don't think some people truly understand how special the bloodline story is and has meant for WWE and how special Roman Reigns has been able to evolve as a character and progress to where he's gotten right now. Like, I'm not saying he's the GOAT, but when it's all said and done, depending on how long he continues to stay, he's knocking on some doors. People will have to start having some conversations.
And you know what's funny is, first of all, I want to say I do fully agree with you. Now back to that John Cena thing, it was really funny because I think he did an interview. I think it was with Chris Van Vliet, if I'm not mistaken. He did an interview where he actually said when he was feuding with The Rock, I think it was. I think it was either right leading up to WrestleMania 28 or 29. They were actually talking about him and they were ready to turn him heel, which
Yeah.
that that would have been interesting if that would have happened. I mean, like John Cena is, I think to me, John Cena in my probably to me he's the GOAT. Um, I think you had some great arguments, like with all of wrestling and Roman Reigns. And you know what's funny is like if I feel like with Roman Reigns being in the Tribal Chief era, obviously he held one title and he held it for basically 3.5 years, right? Like outside of that, I think people do realize, fail to realize that he won another gold. I mean, he's been what he was tag team champion.
Had the tag team titles. He had some mid card titles in there as well. Yeah.
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 Um.
Yeah.
So the Rumble is this weekend. So you're gonna be there. I'm super excited for it. So there have been some speculation about some returns, and I want to ask you about some of I want to say like the returns that I don't think are gonna happen, but they've been rumored, to returns that I have heard, are more likely to happen. So like the return that is going around is AJ Lee. I mean, that's a big one.
Every year. Every year.
Do you think, especially with like the star power of, obviously Jordan Gray signing with the company and then in NXT with all of those powerful women and like rising up the NXT women's division, do you think the Royal Rumble could use somebody like AJ Lee, like just, to memorialize it?
Oh, for sure. I mean, AJ Lee would get the biggest pop of the night if she freaking returned at the
Oh
Royal
yeah.
Rumble. 100%. I do think this year it's more likely than ever, but I don't know, man. We just gotta wait and see. We just gotta wait and see.
Yeah. Nikki Bella, I heard is a pretty big one.
Nikki Bella, I think, will be making an appearance. I made some of the predictions about some surprise factors as well. I think Lay Cool will be making an appearance.
Wow.
I had Layla on my podcast last month, and she basically opened up for the first time and said that she was open to come back to wrestling, and that obviously a reunion with Michelle would be great. And then it went viral all over Twitter and everything, and Michelle retweeted it and kind of dropped some hints about it as well. So I think that's kind of NXT people in there as well. I would say like Sol Ruka, Jada Parker, Stephanie Van Cure, Kalani Jordan. I'm gonna throw in there. I think Roxanne Perez is gonna make her main roster debut, hopefully, um, during the Rumble. Becky Lynch is somebody that I think is gonna come back and be a part of it. Alexa Bliss as well. So I think you're gonna see. I know every year everybody is wanting the surprise factors, and the Royal Rumble has never really been built off that. It doesn't have to be surprises in the Royal
Yeah.
Rumble for the Royal Rumble to be good. However, I do think we are going to get some more surprises this year than we have in quite a while,
Yeah.
especially now that we get the TNA collaboration as well too. That's pretty big.
Massive. Man, I got goosebumps for you to talk about Late Cool. Like, it's crazy because I started, what's fun is when I started watching wrestling, you have these tag teams that I wanted to see succeed. And like looking back on them, I wish they would have. Like, for example, obviously Late Cool is one of them. A lot of people don't remember Late Cool. Like, the Hart Dynasty, I think it was the Hart Dynasty. It was Tyson Kidd,
I think Natalia and David H.
David
Smith.
Hart Smith. Yeah.
David Hart, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now let's talk about the men because there are some speculations. Now, this one that I'm about to say, it's really tough. So I've seen like scriptures of Xavier Woods and then Kofi coming out and then they like eliminate the person in the ring and then like they get the microphone and they start like talking smack and then Big E comes out. Yeah,
I'm not gonna bet on Biggie. I'm not gonna
yeah,
bet on Biggie. Biggie is kind of like an anomaly where it's really just up in the air. And I don't if he comes back, I don't think we'll ever know. There will never be any
oh yeah,
speculations about that. They would have to keep that really, really on the low. Um, but for the men's surprises, you'll probably get some TNA like Joe Hendry. People have been talking about him.
oh yeah.
Jeff Hardy, I could see making an appearance. Somebody like Moose as well.
That'd be great.
You gotta throw the Rock in there just because he's also an anomaly. You just never know with the Rock, man. Like I'm not gonna bet on that one, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he was swerving us. Maybe all of us have been swerved this whole time. Didn't know it. Um,
Dolph Ziggler.
maybe a returning like Aleister Black, Nick Nemeth are names that are being thrown out there as well. So there's definitely going to be some interesting factors. I'm excited to see what type of surprises and how they're going to structure this. Some people even think like, I Show Speed or Kai Cenat going to appear, because they'll be at the streamers and they'll be at the Rumble too. You just never know, man. Like,
Yeah. Speaking of influencers, I got to talk to you about like I think it was if it wasn't announced yesterday, it was announced this morning, but I believe it was announced yesterday. I think it's March 15th. You have Logan Paul versus Jake Paul. D- Do you
that's what they're
think
saying.
do you well, I guess do you think it's going to happen, and if you do you think it's probably going to be staged like for a brother fight?
I don't think it's really going to be a boxing match. I don't know how it's going to work though. Logan and Jake are very smart, marketable people. Honestly,
Yeah.
I know they're not likable, but these guys are very good at branding. They're very good at marketing. That's why people pay money to watch them do what they do. Like
Yeah.
Jake Paul's a boxer, but not on the skill level of the legit boxers in the sport. But he gets paid more than
Right.
any other boxer because
Yeah.
people
He's
pay to see
insane.
his fights. They want to see him lose. Logan Paul is insanely good at WWE. Like nobody could have ever predicted this guy was going to be as good as he was, and people don't want him to be there, but they're still going to watch what he does because he's really good. So I mean,
Yeah.
these guys, man, they're they're doing the damn thing, man. I can't lie, man. Gotta respect it.
Yeah. I want to ask because I think it's very interesting to kind of tell people that I'm interviewing where I've been, but I've also want to hear where they've been. When it comes to wrestling pay-per-views, um you don't have to name them all if like if there's so many to name, but like how many have you been to?
I've been to quite a few. I've been to the last three SummerSlams I've been to. SummerSlam in Tennessee, Detroit, and then this year in Cleveland. I've been to WrestleMania 38. Only WrestleMania I've ever been to. Royal Rumble this week. First Royal Rumble. Uh, Back in the day, the first PLE I ever went to was Cyber Sunday.
Wow.
Back in the day, I've been there. I've been a couple TNA pay per views. I was at TNA Lockdown in 2011, I believe that was. I've been to Fast. I was at Fastlane 2018. I've been to Extreme Rules before once as well. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's it off the top
So
of my head.
I've been to a couple. So the first pay-per-view that I ever went to was, what's funny is I think I've been screwed out of going to pay-per-views, to be honest with you. So the first ever pay-per-view I went to was Money in the Bank. It was
Ooh,
in Columbus, Ohio, and it was when Sheamus won.
2015. Okay, okay, yeah.
Yes.
That
Uh,
was a good one though. You said John Cena versus Kevin Owens was
yeah.
crazy.
I went to Extreme Rules when Finn Balor got screwed over by the ropes when the
I was
ropes
there.
just break.
That's
Yeah.
the one. That's the one I went to. Yeah, that's the one I went
Um,
to.
there was one in Columbus. It was No Mercy, which was crazy. I think like AJ Styles was fighting John Cena or something.
Yeah, yeah, that was Cena Styles. I think it was Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, okay.
Um, I get goosebumps every time I talk about it. For my 21st birthday, I went to Survivor Series last year.
Who was
Um,
Survivor Series was Chicago?
it was Chicago.
Oh, that's great. That's a
So
great
I
one.
I was actually born not too far from Chicago. But I live in Ohio now. But yeah, I was there for when Punk returned. And it was funny is it was like I'm starting to get my fiance into wrestling, and it kind of says what every non-wrestling fan says is like it's so much better when you're there in person. So like we went there, and I was
Atmosphere
like
is crazy.
I played the music for her before we get in. I'm like, look, this is probably not going to happen, but if this music plays, just do me a favor. Just lose your mind. And she goes, okay. And when that music played, everybody lost their mind.
She had no idea. Like, why is
Yeah,
this guy so
yeah,
important? Like,
yeah, yeah. I also was at SummerSlam in Cleveland. It was my first SummerSlam that I ever went to. Um, what's funny is about that pay-per-view. First of all, that Roman spot coming back was awesome. But if I had to pick a match of the night, is that Bailey versus Nia? Absolutely,
super
just
good. Yeah,
crush. Speaking of Nia Jax, dude, ever since she's came back, she's been phenomenal.
absolutely, man. She deserves her flowers and more. She's definitely dropped the injury prone hashtag she had to her name for a long time.
Yeah,
She's come back and done some of the best work. I actually enjoy watching her. I really like Nia Jax. Nia Jax actually moved into like one of my favorites. I'm not gonna
yeah.
lie to for women.
But those are the pay-per-view. Obviously, I've been to Raws, I've been to SmackDowns. I'm
What's
gonna
the
ask.
what's the craziest thing you saw in person? Something you'll never forget.
Well, if I'm gonna default, the Punk coming back. If I had to choose the craziest thing I've seen in person, I do. It might be like recency biased, to be honest with you, but it was probably at SummerSlam, and there's probably two moments that I'm thinking of. The first one that I'm thinking of is when Logan Paul did that absolutely insane moonsault off the ropes. I thought that was crazy. Or when Dom kissed Liv like right in front of Rhea.
Yeah,
I
that was
That was bonkers. I did not expect um that to happen.
craziest thing I ever saw in person. I'll never forget. I was there the night when the Shield broke up. I can never forget that, man.
Did you hear
Crazy.
that guy scream no? Like could
Oh,
you
you could hear a pin drop in
Yeah.
that place, man. That was like
Yeah.
people didn't know what to like. That was so unexpected. Like once when Roman and Dean stepped up, I knew I was like, oh
Yeah.
no way they're about to do this. But that before then, nobody knew.
Yeah.
Nobody knew this was about to happen.
You know what? Actually, I'm gonna take that back. You want to talk about a moment I've never forgotten, and I thought it was really funny. Back at Survivor Series in Chicago, uh, so we were there probably 2 hours before the show starts, and it hits about an hour before. If this guy sees this, it's probably not gonna happen. But there was this guy who was a ultimate CM Punk hater. I mean, the crowd kept chanting CM Punk, and this guy would just get up and just flip off the whole like
Really?
he would get
Oh,
up, he would stand up, and he would like two middle fingers to both sides of the arena. And then he would sit down and like during commercial breaks and everything, like during like the hour before the show starts, commercial breaks, it happened like four times. He just kept flipping everybody out. When CM Punk came back, I think that guy genuinely got up and screamed. Like I didn't think, what is he gonna do? Flip off CM Punk?
yeah. In the moment, man, everybody's shocked in the moment, man. I can't believe it. Like, whoa, what's going on? That was pretty wild. And the Orton return before that too. Like, man,
Oh, yeah, it's that's what's funny is so I was telling you a little bit before we started is so I've been doing YouTube kind of on and off for about 10 years, and I heard this advice from a content creator. They said that if obviously you're known for wrestling, and I think you probably couldn't be more proud of that, right? But when it comes to me, I kind of like to do a variety of things. I heard from a content creator that if obviously you want to stick to one thing, like if you want to be known for one subject, obviously do that and you'll be known for it. But if you
right.
want to know for like a variety, do a variety of things. So obviously, I do a bunch of Let's Plays, I play a bunch of games, but I uploaded my reaction to CM Punk returning at Survivor Series and Roman Reigns returning at SummerSlam. And those two are my two most popular videos. But enough about that. I actually want to ask you something because I want to know kind of where your mind is. So this is going to be like a two-part question. So the first part is, when did you know, like, okay, I'm starting to blow up on TikTok? And then like, because I know you post reactions to like the stuff like you post Monday Night Raw and like SmackDown reactions here and there, but like as a creator like Santi, that's majority all he does. And then when his account got banned, do you're like, okay, I'm gonna like kind of back off on that because I don't want my account to get banned? Because like I said, you're almost at a million, which is crazy.
No, yeah. So his content is very different than mine when it comes to TikTok.
Yeah,
Most people who do those reactions, they post like everything about the show, like backstage segments and all that stuff. So it's more easier for them to get noticed, and probably why their accounts got taken down because they're posting like the entire show. I'll just post like one or two reactions from the show, mainly like the big important stuff. I'm not really a reaction content creator though. I like to make content about predictions, bookings and stuff like that. Like I talk wrestling when that's my content. Like
yeah,
I communicate with the community. You know what I mean? Like I like to give my takes. I like to make funny videos and skits at times. That's mainly kind of what I do on my Instagram and my Facebook and stuff like that. Mainly just kind of make like Like that's content is different than what I post on my TikTok and YouTube. You know what I mean? Like my YouTube and TikTok are kind of the same as far as like talking about things, fantasy booking, doing little trivia games or fun filters, stuff like that. My Instagram and Facebook is way different though. I'll just post, I'll make comedy skits on there, but wrestling related, you know what I mean? So making it
Yeah.
something funny. So, um, but honestly, that's honestly what majority of the community is really rocking with, though. Like they want
Yeah.
to see people's reactions. They want to watch your stream. You know, streaming is
Yeah.
really big right now in the wrestling community. I'm not really a streamer. I'm more of a content creator, but
Yeah.
streaming is something that I have thought about diving into, just because it's something that people have asked me to get into, and it's a good way to, you know, collaborate with the community, and it's a good way to help grow your content as well. So, um, people honestly, you know, people just want to watch your stuff, man. They want to communicate with you in the
Yeah.
chat. They want to watch your reactions. It's crazy because it's like you're just watching a reaction, but some people just they just want to watch it. You know, like they want
Yeah.
to see how you feel about it. So, um, never really got too worried about my account get taken down for that reason. Just because I don't post
Yeah.
every single thing about the shows. I may post one or two things about the show, and that's really it.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's, a really great point, and I also think that's, kind of funny that a lot of like I think right now is a really, really good time to like get into it, especially because TikTok's back for now. I don't know how long that's, gonna go on for, but you did bring up something earlier and I want to kind of revisit it. So you said that you asked me, and by the way, I know that like this is my interview, but if you want to ask me anything, please feel free to. Don't, be like, okay, I'm gonna get answered. You know what I mean? But I do want to ask, you asked me what was like the craziest thing I've witnessed in person, and obviously, yours outbeats mine by like miles because yours was kind of a really big thing in WWE history. Obviously we've seen some stuff in person. What is the craziest thing that you've ever seen like on WWE television? Because if I had to choose one, uh, there would probably be a lot. I think this is everybody. It's not just me. Probably when Undertaker streak got broken, because not only is that like was that something that he protected for so long. Like if you're gonna ask me, like I know I told you that WrestleMania 27 like was kind of my favorite, and I know you were like, it's a hot take. However, the Undertaker match and Triple H match on WrestleMania 27 is probably in my top 10 favorite matches of all time. I mean, that match was fantastic.
Yeah.
And if you want my opinion, Triple H, I feel like he should have broken the streak at WrestleMania 28. If not, then the streak should have never been broken. But if there was somebody to do it, I think Triple H should have been the guy.
Not a bad thing. A lot of people feel that way too. So I mean, I've heard that many times. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not a bad thing to say. A lot of people have said the same thing too, especially when they had that Sweet Chin Music pedigree, that 1-2 kick out. Gosh, that was, we all thought it
Insane.
was over. Yeah, we thought it was over right there. I know I did. I was like, oh, they took the streak. It's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I watched that live too, so in
Uh,
real time.
that's really funny actually because you say that like him kicking out. It's so crazy to hear about that because like back then, if let's say Cena hit somebody with a attitude adjustment and somebody kicked out, like that was a big thing. Like back then, like even kicking out of two finishers was like unheard of. But
Mhm.
now you get like finisher fests and people are kicking out of like three, four, five spears. Do you think that's kind of like taken the I guess like the like potential of a finisher or like the integrity of a finisher away completely?
It just depends on how you do it. Um, the no sells and everything can get a little bit repetitive for me, and that could be a little devaluing. I personally think, however, I don't think it's something that really changes the outcome of storytelling or the match itself. It really just honestly, it just depends how it's executed. I think to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Um Man, so obviously you've been a wrestling fan for a long time, and I'm curious because
Yes,
you
sir.
know, obviously being a follower of yours, I told and shout out to Renee. I told her this when I was interviewing her. There's two people in the wrestling world that really, really got me started on Wrestle Talk. I never knew that like obviously I knew wrestling fans out there, but I didn't know how like passionate they were about making content. And I guess there were three people in the TikTok community that really got me invested in wanting to do it. It
Mhm.
was Straight Shoot, but it was when Santi and Steve were doing the Guess the Wrestler. Like that was really, really big. Um, and you were one of the other ones.
Appreciate that.
Your rankings and everything else were really great. But yeah, if you had to pick a moment on TV that like was absolutely crazy and you didn't know what to say, like what would you choose?
Uh, man, I want to kind of give a different answer that nobody would expect in a good way or a bad way.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't I was not expecting that to be honest with you. I mean you could do good or bad.
Okay, in a good way, something that definitely shocked me that I was not expecting. I really want to give a different answer. Something that nobody would expect. Left me speechless. Okay, so in a bad way, um, definitely the Fiend and Seth Rollins Hell in a Cell match. I legitimately don't really get mad a lot at wrestling, but that really pissed me off. Like,
That
there's
was
nothing
definitely
about that you could justify it for it to make sense. Like, that was one of the worst matches I've ever seen with one of the worst finishes. Something that just didn't make sense. I'm like, bro, you hurt the Fiend's character. You hurt Seth Rollins as a baby face. Like, it was just so poorly structured. I honestly I couldn't believe I had watched that. I'm like, there's no way I just sat here and
yeah.
that's just what we saw. I
I,
can't believe this.
I feel the same way with Brock Lesnar f when he fought Cain Velasquez at that was it WrestleMania? Did he fight?
No,
Or
it
was
was
that
Crown Jewel.
it was Crown Jewel? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, but like that, is like I was telling everybody, I was like, no, dude, that's gonna be like a really good match, and then it turned out, that's really funny. It's just like people coming in, like in the world of boxing or like the world of celebrities coming into WWE is a really big thing now. However, if I had to pick a WrestleMania dream match, especially to happen this year, I mean, I would want Bad Bunny versus Logan Paul. I think they're both fantastic.
Yeah, they're both really, really good. A good now, a good moment because I got to have a bad one. A
Yeah.
good one, something that definitely left me speechless. You know what? Honestly, you talk about Miz cashing in and winning. I really did not think he was going to win that title. Like, I was
Wow.
like, dude, this guy is not WWE title material. Like, I wasn't feeling it. I'm like, I don't fully feel that this guy
Yeah.
is world championship material. And even though he won, I'm like, he's gonna be the first guy to cash in and lose. And when he actually won, I was like, I didn't. It felt so weird to me. I was like, this doesn't feel right though. Like, he doesn't feel like a WWE title guy. Like,
Yeah.
it felt so weird to me at that time frame. I definitely did not think he was gonna. You couldn't convince me that he was gonna cash in and win. I
You
was
were that
totally.
girl. You were the girl that night that just gave that like what the hell look.
Yeah, I wasn't even mad. I didn't hate the Miz, but I'm like, he just didn't feel like when I was thinking of WWE champion, I'm thinking of like Cena, I'm thinking of like CM Punk, like those guys at that
Yeah.
level. Like, Orton, I'm like, man, he's not there, like he's not that level. Like, he's cool, but for him to be at that level, I didn't see it. And when he actually won the championship, I really couldn't believe it. I said, there's no way he's actually. And then when he actually main evented WrestleMania and won, I might have been even more. I was like, there's no way this guy
Yeah, yeah,
is,
yeah.
is beating John Cena in the main event of WrestleMania.
Yeah, he did get screwed over. That's how I kind of feel about his, and a lot of people, forget this. His second title run that he did. It was, what's funny is that was just strictly,
Transitional
it was
champion, yeah.
trans. Okay, Malik, I want to start this next segment off. So I'm a fan of yours. Okay. And getting a reaction out of somebody is one of my favorite things to do on planet Earth. And to show you that I'm a fan, sir, I have a bone to pick with you. Now, I know that you're a really big creator on TikTok, but yeah, I feel like you have a lot of confidence in something. And you know what? I'm here. I was really debating on how I wanted to do this. Did I want to be serious? Did I want to be funny, dramatic? Did I just want to ask you? No, no, no. I'm not going to ask you because you're really confident. So, Malik, I'm challenging you right
I'm gonna
now.
say, you gonna challenge me.
I'm going to challenge you. I'm challenging you. And I don't know if this has been done. I think it's been done. But if it hasn't, then this could be history in the making for you. Malik, right now, I am challenging you to a your team versus my team right now.
Look, the confidence is great. I've never been challenged in person before. That's a first time for everything. First time for everything, and never before has that ever happened where somebody has challenged me face to face. So I got to give you respect there. That's bold. That's never happened before. But I mean, we all know how that's gonna end, though. I don't think you really want the smoke at the end of the day because it
However,
always goes my way. It never fails.
there's a twist.
Been the champion for a long time.
There's a twist.
Oh, there's a twist.
So I'm a collector and I like to collect WWE action figures. I've always done it since I was a kid. I never quit. And I'll admit this because I'm not afraid to admit there are some times where if a match does not go the right way and I get pissed off about it and I do not have the figures, I'll go out and buy the figures and I'll recreate the match just to make me be able to go to bed easier. So I have a bin of WWE action figures and I will pull blindly from it and I will hold them up to the camera and I will pick five for you and five for me. And the comments can decide on who they think is winning.
Why don't we just base it off of your five favorite wrestlers versus my five favorite wrestlers?
We could
So
do
whoever,
that.
so whoever your top five favorites are, it could be WWE. Doesn't even matter. Just
Okay.
your top five. This is just your favorites. So obviously your criteria, but just your five favorites. And to make it fair, we'll make it fair and even because the filters does have men and women involved in it. You got to involve three men and three. So your top three favorite males and your top your top two favorite women superstars.
Okay, so three male and two female. Okay, okay, we'll do that. And just so everybody knows, obviously, I'm not gonna be like, oh, Roman Reigns, Ultimate. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna just
Yeah,
sit
so
there.
whoever your favorite is, whoever your favorites are.
So, man, okay,
I'm
so we'll
not-
do.
A lot of my favorites are top tier legends. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've dropped my favorites many times in videos. So
Okay, okay. So if I had to pick my top five, and so this is kind of just who I think are my favorite wrestlers of all time. So my first, so if I name one, can that be reused?
it's a good question.
Because the reason
I
why I
would
said
say I would say if it's named, then you have to name another person. So like
another
if that
person.
person is named, you got to name somebody else in your favorites.
We'll do that. We'll do that. Okay. Um, so the first person I know this is gonna be weird. So my top one of my top is The Miz, and I know that's probably weird, but like I said, I started out watching him, and I do think he's criminally underrated. I really do like The Miz. I think he is in my top five.
Okay,
Um,
Miz is your answer.
yeah, Miz is one of them.
Okay, Miz is definitely not going to be one of my answers, so you don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
I'll throw out I'll throw out my first woman. Everybody knows if you follow me, my all-time favorite women's wrestler is Bailey. So I gotta put Bailey in there.
So in terms of women wrestlers, I'm gonna pick a women's superstar who I feel like kind of changed the game for wrestling and kind of made me appreciate a little bit more. And I know it's controversial, but I gotta go Charlotte Flair. She kind of when they announced that all women's pay-per-view, was it like Women's Revolution or something? When they announced that,
Yeah.
yeah, she was part of the Four Horsewomen. So as much as people kind of dog on her, she is up there for me.
No, 100%. Okay, so my second favorite women's wrestler, my list has changed a little bit. Bailey has always been my number one. Lita used to be my number one, but she kind of went down a little bit. My number two now is definitely Rhea Ripley. So I gotta
Wow.
put Rhea in there.
Wow, that is a man, mommy's always on top. That's a
I've been a
strong.
fan of Rhea since the Mae Young Classic.
Yeah.
And one of my homies can vouch for me. He can vouch for me because me and him used to watch wrestling back in the day together before I even blew up on TikTok and everything. And I was always telling him, like, man, Rhea, I really
Yeah.
like her, man. Like, she's going to be something. I'm telling you, he can vouch for me, bro. So this is like 2017, 2018,
Yeah.
man. I promise you, like, Rhea
Yeah.
Ripley's always been somebody that I really, really liked.
Yeah. My second uh um female superstar is AJ Lee. She
She's my top five.
is
She's my top five.
she not only is was she wasn't the longest reigning Divas champion, but in my opinion, she's probably one of the best. And she changed how, in my opinion, how women's wrestling was kind of looked at. Like the way she could cut promos and the way like she wrestled in the ring. I thought it was great.
Valid, man. AJ Lee's definitely my top five for sure. Still waiting to come back. Maybe happens at Royal Rumble. If I'm there, I'll go crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I will say, let's light it up to greatest women's theme song ever. That
Oh
theme
yeah.
song is God. That theme song is so godly. Now for the men, I'm gonna start off with my all-time favorite wrestler. Everybody knows John Cena. So John
It's
Cena.
tough.
John Cena's always been my number one.
That's tough. That is tough. So I think, man, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of good wrestlers,
I'm one of
and
those weird guys where like I have all my stuff in order. So like I know
yeah,
I put everything in order.
that's kind of tough. Um, so if my second one, honestly, if I mean, if I'm really thinking, it's really tough. But I am gonna go, um, The Rock. You know, he is, to me, I didn't have the privilege like of watching The Rock back in the day, but kind of just seeing how he is as a wrestler, and not only like as a wrestler, but like as a person. I know there was allegations against him not, a while ago, but I don't know if those were true. But just how The Rock is, especially just out of person and kind of what he does, it just makes him a top, for me.
The Rock is a great answer, man. For me, I'm gonna give my third favorite wrestler just in case you happen to say my second. I'll leave my second one open for you. My third favorite wrestler of all time used to be my second, but he's been replaced by somebody else now. So my number three is The Undertaker.
Wow. Okay. So so this is going to be my last male. So far I have The Miz and The Rock. You know, I, it's changed, and it's actually going to be kind of funny. I would have told you Dean Ambrose. I loved Dean Ambrose for so long. He was one of my favorites. I think Dean Ambrose at the time, like if he came back, I think Triple H would treat him a lot better. I think he would kind of
Oh
get
yeah.
a lot of things that he would deserve. But no, I'm gonna throw and I know, there's not a lot of legends on it, not saying that I don't think the legends deserve it, but I think my last superstar, not only because he's a Bears fan, but Seth Rollins. I absolutely love the work that that guy's doing. He's put so much on his back recently.
So Seth Rollins is a good answer you have because my other member that I'm gonna put to my team, my second favorite wrestler of all time, I talked about him earlier, Roman Reigns, bro.
That's
I've
tough.
I've always been a huge Roman Reigns guy. He was my favorite in the Shield, even when he was doing the big dog stuff. Never really disliked him, man. And now since the Tribal Chief stuff, he's moved up so much. I just appreciate everything that he does, man. So
Yeah.
I can't put Roman over Cena. Cena will always be my number one, but and Taker honestly was my number two forever. Like I never thought I'd put anybody above Taker as
Yeah.
far as my favorites, but Roman Reigns has evolved so much. Like he's moved up so far on my all
Yeah.
time favorite. So
So they gotta let us know who won. I think that was great. I really do appreciate you taking that. Well, I didn't know how you were gonna take that of me challenging you. I think that was really fun.
yeah,
Um, they will let us know who won. You probably won, but it's gonna be really fun to see just because I have the Miz in there, which is kind of out of left field. Um, you first of all, I do want to say your wrestling knowledge is incredible. I think it's great.
it's okay.
I do want to ask because I feel like this is a really big question. Um, Ed, I'm just curious. I want to know what your answer is. If you had to pick a male and a female superstar that have either was in WWE for a really long time or was in WWE for a short amount of time, it doesn't really matter. If you had to pick a female and a male superstar who to come back now and you think that would flourish underneath Triple H and his head of creativeness, what superstar would you pick? Or superstars?
Hmm. Samoa Joe is one
Wow.
of them.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like Samoa Joe for sure.
Yeah, he just returned recently.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I was there for that.
Wow.
And I'm going to say for women, women is probably Sasha Banks,
Yeah.
Mercedes,
Okay.
Mercedes Moné, just because the way she's been able to evolve herself outside of WWE, and
Yeah.
Triple H was always a big fan of her when she was in NXT and everything. So I could definitely see her getting big spots.
Yeah, I have two. I'm gonna change my answer. I'm gonna change one of them. So the one of them that first of all, my male. This is gonna be weird. Is Evan Bourne? I really like Evan Bourne. I loved when he was in. He was not in for very long, but I
Matt
loved
Sydal.
him.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I really do like Matt Sydal. If he were to come back, I don't know. I think it'd be interesting if he kind of like reunited with Kofi and Xavier. If they're gonna go
Underrated
to,
theme song too, man. His theme
yeah.
song was crazy good. Yeah.
Oh, every time I turned on SmackDown vs. Raw 2011, I would just let that jam. Um,
Someone born to
yeah.
fly.
If I
That
had to
dog back
pick,
there.
yeah. Oh, yeah. That is my dog Riley. If I had to choose a female, I did say this in my last one. Uh, the one I said last time was Eve Torres. Underrated, very underrated.
I like Eve. I
But
like Eve.
I would actually choose Caitlyn. A lot of people do not remember Caitlyn.
Oh, okay, okay.
I thought, first of all, her and AJ Lee tore it down. I mean, some of the matches that they had, I think they were fantastic. Uh,
They were ahead of their time for sure.
yeah,
They would probably thrive a lot more in today's era. I don't know how big they would actually be because the competition is higher, but they were ahead of their time. Like they would be
yeah.
able to thrive so much more.
But if I had to choose like another one that's not Evan Bourne, because I don't think Evan Bourne would if he came back, I don't think he would be main event, but I definitely think he could probably do a mid card. Um, a main eventer, I don't know. You know what's funny is me and a buddy had a conversation recently, and they were like, Heath Slater coming back and winning would absolutely be hilarious, just because of his former teammates came back and they won. So I thought that
That is
was
true
funny.
too. That is Jinder Mahal and Drew McIntyre. That's true.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny. Um, yeah, I mean, to comment on yours, like, first of all, Sasha Banks, like you said, AJ Lee has the greatest, greatest female theme song of all time. I agree with you. However, if I had to do a close second, Sasha Banks' theme song is fantastic.
Hers was okay. Rhea Ripley's is up there too. Rhea's is really really good. Especially I don't know if you ever heard it in person, like at the shows,
Yeah.
but yeah, in
Oh yeah.
person, man. Oh my
Yeah.
god, it goes
Crazy.
crazy.
So I want to ask you because I want your opinion on this. So I think I touched on it a little bit earlier. So I'm getting married this year. It's actually happening in May of this year, which is really
Congrats.
crazy.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. So there are reasons, but I'm walking out alone. Okay, and I've always talked about this. I'm considering because of how because of it's supposed to be the most important day of my life to come out with a wrestling theme song. Just to kind of whatever. I have two in mind, and if I had to ask you, I want your opinion. I've either been thinking of Cody Rhodes because Kingdom is such a great song,
No.
or Cult of Personality by CM Punk.
Cody Rhodes.
Yeah,
That's like a trend. That's like a trend at weddings. So
yeah,
it's been a trend. So you got to hop on that trend, man. I think Cody
yeah,
Rhodes would be the better one, man. Cody Rhodes for
yeah,
sure. Come out with like some type of jacket or something you can throw
yeah,
off.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's really cool.
Or a title if you got one of the titles, replica titles, that would work too.
You know what's actually really funny? I do have the it's not the replica, but it's like the one below it. I forget what it's called. It's
Okay, come on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I actually have, and it's not with me, man. I have the White Intercontinental title that he actually brought back. So that could be very fitting.
That'll work.
Yeah.
That'll work.
What is your favorite title? Like, do you have a favorite title of all time? Is there one that you like really like that nobody likes?
Big Gold is definitely my favorite one for sure. The world title. I also like the spinner titles too.
I love that spinning title.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like the spinner titles, but yeah, I would say unpopular, but I guess the spinner title, depending on who you ask, it
Yeah.
just depends. More specifically though, the spinner US title. not the WWE title, the US title.
Wow. Okay, that's I thought. See, like my favorite WWE championship is probably the spinner belt. I thought it was great. Like I don't think man, I don't like I think in my opinion it might be the most iconic to me. I I like the WWE championship now. Like I like how the big W is going, you know. Um if I had to choose probably United States, like the one before this newest one. I love that belt so much.
Mm-hmm. That one was pretty dope. That one was pretty dope. That was around for a long time too, though. So that was pretty. I mean,
Yeah.
the design was so good and it was so legendary. So yeah, that US title was pretty good.
Do you like the design of the new world? I know you said big gold. I like big gold. I think big gold is iconic. You know, it was kind of upsetting when they took it away after they unified it. I think it was with who did they unify it with? Was it Randy or Cena? I forget who.
Yeah, that's when the Brock was the one who got it, and then they took it away
Oh
after
yeah,
Brock.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
So with the big gold, you know, and obviously them bringing in that new world heavyweight. Do you like the new world heavyweight championship?
I don't like it as much as the old one, but I do like it though. I do like
Yeah,
it. It's a doable pass. It's a doable
yeah,
pass.
doable pass. Um, You know, I do kind of want to wrap this up, but I want to ask you, who's obviously there's a lot of creators either really big or making their name in the Wrestle Talk community. Do you have a dream collab? Do you have a collab that you were like, you know, I really want to do something with them?
As far as a creator,
Yeah.
no man, I don't really have dream collabs. I'm down to collab with anybody, big
Yeah.
creators, small creators. I just like to make content. So,
If you have,
um,
okay.
good. What
It,
were you gonna say?
if you had to, okay, because you know, I think you, I think I knew where you were going. Okay, so instead of not creator, what about like a WWE superstar? If you had to sit down and talk with, is there like I could say big or small, but do you have one right now where you're like, man, I want to ask them so many questions?
Well, definitely would have to be John Cena for sure. Cena
Yeah,
would be the number one. Somebody different though that I would definitely like to conversate with, who have actually been in contact with a little bit, would be Omos. Omos
yeah,
is a very cool guy. I'm a big supporter of his. I feel like he has a lot of potential if he's utilized right. So
yeah,
Omos would be somebody that I would definitely speak with. The creators, I've collaborated with a lot of creators. I've done stuff with Santi. I've done stuff with Wheezy Blonde. I've done stuff with Minnie. I've done stuff with Conman. I've done stuff with Tio. I've done stuff with Axel. I've done stuff with
yeah,
Renee, Marissa, and John. Um, I've done stuff with, my homie Nate, who does the Jay Uso skits. I've done stuff with a lot of people, man.
yeah.
So,
If
um, I'm always open to collabing with creators because I feel like it's important for us to engage as a community. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Big creators, the small creators, everybody starts somewhere. So the bigger creators, yes, they're getting paid more, they're having more opportunities that everybody wants, but they had to start at some point being a smaller creator that nobody really knew about. And a lot of these smaller creators look up to these bigger creators wanting to get to where they're at. That's the ultimate goal that they want,
yeah,
right? So
eh,
I feel like it's important if you're a bigger creator be open to collaborate with anybody, man. Collaborate with the big creators for the content, for the views, but also show love to the smaller creators too, man, because they're trying to start off somewhere too. Everybody's trying to start off at some point. And, for the smaller creators, if they happen to blow up and then they remember that the bigger creators didn't want to work with them, they're going to remember that. You know what I mean? Like they're going to
yeah,
remember who appreciated them and who was there for them if they
yeah,
happen to get to that stage. And if they get to that stage, they may look out for you. They may become bigger than you and look out for you. And they may say, hey, I got an invite to this thing. I want you to come with me, man. You were the first person to
yeah,
look out for me. You never know where people are gonna go. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I think it's always important to make sure that you show love to everybody in the community, no matter how many followers you got. That's just a number at the end of the day. A
That is,
following
yeah,
is a number. But at the end of the day, making content as a community, that's memories you can create, and that's a great way to engage with the community, to make connections and to make newer friends. And like, growing up, everybody that I knew watched wrestling. As I got older, they fell out of it because it got uncool to watch at a certain age. You know what I mean? And most of us, as we got older, if we stayed in it, some people were in our inner circle as friends. They didn't really stick with it, so we didn't have
yeah,
anybody to watch with it or talk about it anymore. So we kind of just watched it with ourselves. But now you have this big ass community where you just meet so many people who just love the same thing that you do, and it's so cool to interact that way, right? So I think it's always important to make sure that you're always open minded to collab with anybody, no matter how big their following is.
Yeah. So there are two creators right now that I would absolutely love to collaborate with. So the first one is Marissa and Johnny. I love them so much. I think they're fantastic. Uh, and then the other one, I don't want to say it's my dream, but like Santi's another big one. You know, Santi is like other than like you, Santi is another reason why I wanted to do this. He's also great. So like
Santi's
collabing with
dope. He's dope.
yeah, yeah, collabing with Santi and then Marissa and Johnny would also be a dream.
I can
But
I can I can see what I can do about Marissa and John.
yeah,
Can't promise you Santi. Santi's the biggest one, so I think everybody kind of wants to do stuff with him. But Marissa and John, I think I can reach out to them.
yeah. Look, man, I do want to wrap up this recording. Look, brother, I appreciate you so much for doing this.
No problem, man. My
I
pleasure.
do. Um, I told you this a little before we started is one of my goals, and I know you kind of said this, one of my goals for 2025 is to grow as a creator.
Hmm.
Uh, like I said, I've been, I do work a regular job. Fortunately, the hours that I work, I have plenty of time after when I do get off. I have plenty of time to sit down, record, and I have good enough internet where I could get the video out a couple hours later.
It's good.
Um, so, obviously, I want to grow in 2025, and I think it's important for, other smaller creators to, and I guess bigger creators to know that, like, we we do look up to you guys, and I don't want to sound, I don't want to, when I say this I don't want to sound like a dickhead, but when I say use you guys, that's not what I mean when I say that. Like, I reached out to you. I wanted to talk to you so bad. I wanted to express my wrestling knowledge and just talk wrestling with you and kind of have you boost me off and just see what could happen in terms of if I get a bigger following. And I can't thank you enough. I don't take any of this stuff for granted. Um, when I was talking to Renee, it's kind of funny because she told me that you were the one that really got her start, and she obviously can't thank you enough for it. So the fact that you took the time out of your day to sit down and talk to me about wrestling and to share some of your advice, I think it's fantastic. I think you are a great person, my man. I really do appreciate this.
No problem, man. I hope the best for you, man. Hope you're able to get your stuff out there. Remember, be consistent. Always find ways to engage as well with the community. Always have ideas. I write all my ideas down in my notes that I have, even if I mean, there are ideas that I have that I wrote down months ago that I for
Yeah.
you may skip past you, but always be creative and write down your ideas so you don't forget, and always find ways to be consistent. Consistency is the key. You're not going to be able to grow unless you're consistent because people want to see your stuff, all the time, especially the ones who support you. They want to engage with you. They want to watch your stuff. They're like, your real supporters will always support you, but being consistent is just the best way to grow your platform, stuff like that, man. So you got a good thing going. You're starting off good. Everybody's got to start off somewhere, right? We all got to start off somewhere, whether it's big, small, depending on, wherever you come from and everything. But where you're starting off right now, you're starting off pretty good, man. So I hope the best things for you. I think some good things are gonna come your way, my man.
I'm gonna ask you this one question because I think it's great. There's a lot of wrestling. Is there before we go, is there a wrestling YouTuber that you started out watching? Like, do you watch wrestling YouTubers? Is there one that like when you saw you were like, man, I like you kind of followed them? Is there one?
Um, Honestly, it'd probably be the OG Luge Mania, man.
Wow! Oh, shout out to Luge Mania. That's a really good. I really like Luge Mania.
Luge Mania. I didn't watch her consistently,
Yeah,
but like 2016, 2017, like I would always see her reactions pop up, like
yeah,
just on my time feed, and I would watch them, and I would always laugh, and like it was cool to see and stuff like that. And I always wondered, like, how the hell
yeah,
does she do this? Like,
yeah.
how does she able to do this though? Like, I didn't understand it at that time, but um, definitely Luge Mania. I would say Luge Mania, man. Luge Mania was the first wrestling YouTuber that I noticed
My
before people started to really kind of get into it.
Yeah. Mine's Den Cops. Chris
Okay.
Danger, the man. Uh he just watching his career videos, and what's funny is he got in the ring. He's doing it at DPW.
It's dope, man. So you never know how far it can take you. I know BDE just had a match against AJ Francis.
That was so,
Like
yeah.
you never know how far this stuff can take you, man. Like
Would you
Grimm, I think, has his own promotion and stuff. Like you never really know how far this stuff can take you unless you just start doing it. Like you just
have you
have to
taken a bump?
one time, never again.
Yeah, I used to trampoline wrestle. I used to have a bunch of guys come over when I was younger. We
No,
would
that's
just
different. I could do that. Trampoline
yeah.
wrestling is nothing, but in the ring, yeah, that's not for me, man.
Well, you've taken one and mm-mm.
No, yeah, I'm not, I have no interest in ever wrestling ever.
Yeah. Well, look, man, I'm gonna end this recording and then I'm gonna talk to you after. Guys, I appreciate you stopping by. If you guys want to see more, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I am going to drop all of Malik's information in the description below. Please go check him out. Go give him a follow. We'll see you guys later. Peace.
Appreciate it, man.
Wastelands through the highways.